Let's move on. We got the Minnesota Vikings versus Houston Texans, possibly the best matchup of two 0-3 teams in the history of the NFL. Both of these teams are pretty reasonably good. Minnesota's finally started stringing together a defensive, at least a half. They did in the first half. Tennessee came back, won that game. Houston, to open up the season against Kansas City, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. That's a rough start. Let me hit you with the projections here. Minnesota, I don't like what Kirk Cousins doing. I'm staying away. Dalvin Cook is a definite start for me. Loved seeing Justin Jefferson finally kind of take the reins there and show us what we knew he could do. I'm glad they started throwing the ball, so that makes me like this Minnesota offense a little bit more. Thielen, they can't basically double cover him because Jefferson will make you pay. So I think Minnesota's getting better, but I really am kind of staying away. I want to wait and see. For Houston, Deshaun Watson, I have an awful grade on him projection-wise, but I find it hard to bench him over somebody else that you'd be pulling from waivers. So I probably personally start him, but I'm not buying him in daily fantasy this week. David Johnson, I think, bounces back, has a nice game. He had the touchdown last week against Pittsburgh, but really did nothing else. Let's see here. Will Fuller, assuming he can survive the week without a hamstring pull, he's a start. And I do have Randall Cobb getting in the end zone, but Brandin Cook's not. So I have Randall Cobb as a daily fantasy kind of guy, and I'm staying away from everybody else. What do you think, David?
I'll start with the Vikings, and I think obviously the name that pops out would be Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
This past week, we saw him take over, and I think the first 3 weeks, we've seen some good rookie wide receiver performances. We've seen them kind of settle into being role players and being secondary guys and doing well. Talk about Chenault has done well. T. Higgins has done well. This is the first game where we saw a rookie wideout take over.
Yeah.
To show the ability to take over a game and to be more than a complimentary guy. And I think 7 for 175. You take away that 71-yard touchdown, this guy was still at 6 for 100.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a good game regardless.
Right.
But in this game, Adam Thielen was the second leading receiver with 29 yards. Dalvin Cook was the third leading receiver with 18 yards. Yeah. Kirk Cousins still only threw the ball 27 times. 16 to 27, he only threw 251 yards, guys. Like, this is still a run-first offense.
Yep.
Justin Jefferson's still going to have some very low lows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's anywhere near a consistent option right now. He's more of a matchup base. It's great seeing it, but temper your expectations here.
Agreed.
Don't go and blow your whole FAAB or have Fab, whatever you guys go. This is my first year using Fab. Don't blow your whole Fab load on this guy. He's going to be a solid wide receiver 3 matchup-based option, but he's nowhere near a starting wide receiver 2, at least not yet. At least we see him stack a few more games like this.
Agreed on all fronts. Going to be interesting. One of these teams is going to be 0-4 to start the year. I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Or maybe 0-3-1.
And I got to say one more thing, too, because the Texans, I don't know how any formula spits out a bad projection for him in this matchup unless it's projecting.
It's weird, right?
David Johnson scoring 3 rushing touchdowns, because this is a passing offense. He did pretty good against a tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense last week. Yeah. Threw for 3 touchdowns, I believe. So
plus start grades on Fuller and Cobb. So it's bizarre. It's bizarre that he wouldn't have better
smash start this week, especially because you talk about the Texans defense. They haven't been all that great. I mean, the Vikings offense could have another decent game. So the Houston Texans are going to need to score. The Vikings defense doesn't seem like it's going to be able to stop them. I love Deshaun Watson in this matchup.
I don't ever kind of go. I mean, you spend him. He's your QB1. I probably wouldn't go against him unless maybe I got Josh Allen as my backup quarterback later in the draft, which a lot of people probably have that exact scenario. So yeah, I don't know. I'll check the projections on that, because to have 2 nice starts at wide receiver against Minnesota too, that seems like an off one to me. So David is telling me to check the algorithm. I'll check the algorithm. I think Houston fans are probably screaming the same thing. Let me hit you with the line here. We got Minnesota. Bovada has it +4 versus Houston. Who do you have?
I'm going to take the Texans just because I think they've been victimized by a brutally tough schedule to start, and the Vikings they got a lot of problems on both sides of the ball, man.
I'm going to take Minnesota here. I'll take the points. I think they're pretty similar teams. Again, I don't think they're bad teams, but just a victim of circumstance, man. Minnesota, you get Tennessee, you get Green Bay, and I forgot who their third game was. Houston, we talk about them. I don't think these are awful teams, and I can't believe one of these is going to go 0-4, but they will. Either way, I'm going to take the points in this one, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to bet my money on it, I'll tell you that, but we're making picks here, so I'm going to do it. Let's move on.